and welcome to Answers with the Answers. This is PG.
And I'm PH.
And we are excited to come to you for another episode today. We know you will receive relevant information, wisdom from biblical perspective, and your life will be blessed, your destiny will be exalted, and you will be making an impact in your life.
And that's what Answers with the Answers is all about. So let's get into the questions.
Ready for the questions?
First question, should we have joint accounts?
This is an awesome answer or awesome question, and I'm glad that you're asking. You see, when we talk about joint account in relationship and listen to this, this is actually, let's set it up, it's in regards to a marriage setting. I don't expect people that are dating to ask this question, so I'm going to answer this from marital perspective. Number two, from Bible perspective as well. When we talk about the two becoming one, it is very important. And my wife and I, we have joint accounts. So as you can see, I will answer it from that perspective. We have joint account where everything is transparent and everything is open, and it helps us. It helps us. We have rules, we have regulations, we have structures in place as to what it can be done, but we have access to what everyone must do. And from that perspective, I will encourage that the couples should sit down. And if you are couples, one thing I usually say is if I can trust you with my body, then my money, I can trust it with you.
Right.
The most valuable thing I have is my body. So I believe that it is one area couples should be able to discuss and enjoy joint account.
Yeah, I agree with you. But see, you have to also look at the couple that are involved, right?
That's right.
Sometimes you have someone that is like a big spender and someone that is like, I want to save every dime because of my past experience in life. Maybe they came from like an upbringing where they didn't have much, right? So they get into a season where they want to hold on to everything that they have because they don't know when the rainy season is coming. So when you have one that is a spender, and it's not necessarily just the ladies that are spenders. Some men can spend, like one shoe will be like equivalent to 10 shoes that we can buy, right? So when you have two people in a relationship and one is a spender and one is like really wants to hold on, how do you balance that, right? Because then now you're like, okay, so we have $1,000 coming. I want to buy this and you want to save. So how do they really bridge that?
I think when it comes to money, and I really want to come forward a little bit too, I can deal with it. When it comes to money, everyone have what we call money personality. And I've talked about this, and one day I will deal with it specifically in one podcast session. Money personality is your experiences and when you've been through, like Pastor Ari was saying, and it allows you to also spend from your personality and what you have learned and your culture. Now, when one is a big spender and one is not a big spender, God knows something better. He puts couples together, and based on the personalities, each one is to complement one another. So that they will be. The whole purpose is to build a legacy for you, for the kingdom, and for your family. And so having your resources together helps you to do that. In terms of expenses and spending and all of that, that one, it is just basically life behaviors.
Right.
It can be changed.
Right.
And so that is where budget comes in. That is why structures come in, and that will help you to know what we have, what one can do, and what one cannot do.
I want to go, and I like that, and I like to go deeper because sometimes, right, when it comes to like joint savings, and we are in that, situation, and I love it because we just talked about it, and that's what we wanted to do from the get-go, right? But let's say your partner has a behavior of buying drugs that you don't know, or they have like a sketchy background that you have an idea but they haven't told you, right? And you're in the marriage with the person and you're believing God to set them free. So now you are the responsible one. You have children, you have bills, and you really want to be a good steward of the finances of the home. And you have another partner that just, believes, or they don't even have a clue about how to really manage their money, right? and you're from a background where you've been told, you know what, we want your money to be together. We want it, you know, I've given you my body. There's some ladies or even some men that be like, listen, I know that when you get your hands on this check, you are gonna spend it. Or this behavior that we're dealing with, which is whether it's a drug problem, an addiction problem, gambling problem, you're gonna spend the money. So really and truly, if you want to be using the biblical principles, how do we now move forward with that, right? Because is it sometimes there's wisdom in either the man or the woman knowing that I know your behavior, so I'm going to really put certain things in place that we are not in a joint account situation until we fix your issue. Then we can come and be in that joint account issue. So
I think, PH, one of the
right,
things that you are bringing out is so amazing in such a way that, as a matter of fact, just the fact that we are saying accounts or must be joined doesn't mean that access must be, when one has a weakness of,
mhm,
the access must not be restricted.
right,
If you look through personal behaviors
mhm,
and lifestyles, the whole purpose is to make sure that the weaknesses of one, it's not heightened. If I
right,
know that anytime I give you access to wealth and riches,
mhm,
you are squandering it, and yet we want to move our family to the next level, we cannot give you that access right
right,
away.
right,
The account is joined. It can even have, to tell you the truth, Pastor Harriet has an account on her name.
it's called the tack away money, ladies. It's called
However,
tack away money.
if I want access to it, I have
It's
access
there.
to it.
Yeah.
And so we don't have,
Mhm.
the whole purpose is that there is no secrecy that this is mine and it's mine and that is only me.
Right.
The whole purpose is that there is transparency, yet she has access to that. So I want to end
And
it that way.
and I think this, you're right, and this works for, you know, families and marriages that have chosen to build their lives on the biblical principle,
That's
right?
right.
And you have to understand that when your marriage is built on the principles of God, then you go with the biblical principles as God wants. The two has become one, right? But we also recognize that there's some marriages out there that are yet to know Christ, that are yet to really follow those principles. So what we're saying to you is this: access and joint are two different things. We've joined it, but maybe in the savings account, access is restricted to this amount, or maybe we're saving to buy a house or do something
That's
big.
right.
So access to this particular part needs to be really looked into, where we need to really talk about it. And I really think, to the point that I brought up earlier, that if your partner has a weakness, say in addiction, gambling, whatever it is, and you are the one that is the responsible one in this moment,
Handling the kids,
handling the
make
kids
sure
and
mortgage is
everything,
paid.
right, because you're the responsible one. Don't encourage them by giving them access to their money. It's only going to increase their weaknesses, right? It's only going to get them the money that they need to feed their weaknesses. So there can be that conversation of, listen, you have access to it, but every week you're going to get this amount, and that's about it, right? So you're helping them without making them feel lesser of an individual. But at the same time, the main thing is that now help them with that weakness. And if someone comes from a home where their mama's business was separate than their father's business, they don't know anything about joint account, give them time to grow into
Absolutely.
it, right? Because then that is like, okay, I've just moved into your house and you want my money. That's how they'll see it
That's
as,
right.
right?
And PH, one of the things I found out is that when it comes to money, it doesn't mean that just because they have different account that they are sinners.
Right.
And I want to put it that
right.
way. It's not
right.
a sign. People can grow into it.
Mhm.
And by talking about it, they'll be able to get to that level. So
Right.
I want to end it that way, and we'll continue another time.
All right.
Next question.
So I want to piggyback off of that because you guys said a lot about restrictions. Can you give us some practical fail safes for the overall health of a relationship?
Can you ask the question again?
Some practical fail safes for the overall health of a relationship.
Well, I mean, if you define health, health is the wellness of the, you know, the mind, body, soul, spirit, and the whole 9 yards. That's like the wellness. So when we talk about a healthy relationship, we're looking at a well overall, you know, relationship where number one, you are not the only person in that relationship. Someone else is in that relationship with you. And the fact that you're in a relationship means that you agreed for another whole human being with a different mindset, different expectation, different emotion, different makeup to be in the same space as your mental wellness, your physical wellness, if you're married, and then of course your spiritual wellness, right? So some of the things that for me, overall, it's a practical way to look at healthy relationship is, can that relationship live? Can that relationship thrive? Can that relationship have longevity? Can that relationship like go beyond what we see? Because see, the relationship that Christ has with us is an everlasting relationship. It's eternal relationship, right? He said when we accept him and he calls us home, we have life with him, right?
Okay.
So a healthy relationship is that when the storms of life comes, and they're going to come, when disappointment comes, when discouragement comes, right? Can your relationship outlive those things?
Right.
And the way you will know those things is based on how and what decisions you're making today, right? So do I trust you? Do I genuinely want to be with you? Do I value you? Do I respect and honor you? And if all those things are in place, and of course, it's built on biblical principles, then you can say, you know what, my relationship can really outlive the storms of life. So I think those are one of the ways to really know. I hope I'm answering the question, to know that if this is really a healthy relationship or not. Like, can we outlive this, right? Because when you take your health, for instance, and you know that you're in a good, like your body is in a healthy position, you just automatically think that you're going to live for a very long time, right? With all things being equal, because you're healthy. Same with a relationship. Will my relationship like have longevity? Would I be able to go all the way with this individual? That's what I'm thinking.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Let me add to it. When we talk about relationship, I believe because this space here deals with biblical foundations as to what relationship, I want to assume that we are talking about romantic relationships, because there are different types of relationships. It can be relationship in a family setting, friendship relationship, and then of course the romantic. So I want to assume that I'm answering on the foundation of romantic relationship.
Right.
When we come to romantic relationship, we are dealing with what is the foundation of that relationship. And the scripture talks about it very clearly. If a foundation is destroyed, what will the righteous do? And so we can know the structure of a building by its foundation.
Right.
We can know a building and the height of a building by how deep the foundation is. And so I can always assume and see a relationship and how it can survive the winds of life by the foundation they have built.
Right.
And usually for me, in order to give this just advice or wisdom or answer, what I would say is that when the foundation is based on people that understand the purpose of marriage, which is Christ is the foundation of that marriage. I'm not talking about church being the center of the marriage. No, I'm talking about Jesus Christ, the foundation of that relationship. What that happened is that now they begin to grow together, and as they grow towards the knowledge of Christ, the marriage or the relationship gets stronger.
Right.
And as it gets stronger, they can survive the test of time. Number two, when the more they become Christ-like,
Right.
the more, of course, what is bothering them or what becomes the issue of life, it's not issue to the marriage anymore.
That's right.
There are many things I can say, but there are many things that what can be an issue to people may not be an issue to me, because God is helping you to mature in your walk with God. So that is the lesson I will share for this time.
How do you deal with a quick-tempered partner?
You go for it or I'll go for it?
You go for it and I'll come in.
Quick-tempered partner. Now remember,
why you gotta be quick?
Because that's life. And some people are angry. They want to throw blows. They want to insult. They want to use words. They want to, hit walls, and they want to scream, and they want to do certain things. So now you see what a quick-tempered person can do. Now there are also some quick-tempered people that have kept things inside. So not every quick-tempered person is reactive. I want to say it again.
Right.
Not every quick-tempered person is reactive. Most quick-tempered people are actually able to harbor things in for a long time. And so most of the time, you may not even know they are quick-tempered because they've harbored in stuff for a long time. And then when that thing now gets to the brim, from that point, literally every little drop of that water literally explodes.
Right.
How do you do it? How do you do it? How do you do it? How do you deal with such a person? Number one, by wisdom. By wisdom. Most of the time, when we talk about quick-tempered people, usually I don't want to put it on only the males, but sometimes most men gets to be on that side. There are ladies that do it. The way you speak to a quick-tempered person, most of the time, many of the issues that I've dealt with, many things, many people, the way you deal with them is it was triggered by what you said. I want to say it again. It was triggered by what was said.
Right.
Not even what was said and how it was said. So if you can watch how and what you say, you can literally cut that flare very, very, very much.
Right.
Go ahead.
Wow. Like quick temper, like I think when you get to the source of it, right? Quick tempered people will show you their character before you get into a relationship with them. So the first thing is that don't miss the signs. Don't miss the signs. If you don't have what it takes to be able to help a quick temper person, don't even get into the relationship to begin with. Right?
I will not encourage you.
No.
If it is before it starts, because everyone will show signs.
Yes.
Everyone, especially those of you that are not in it yet, do not tolerate a quick-tempered person. Let me say it again. Don't do it. Usain Bolt your way out.
Like flee, right? And I remember back in university, I had a friend, right? And then we had all gone out. And I remember we're all coming home. And this individual was like to one of my friends, get in the car. And I remember I paused and I said, no, she's going to take the bus. And I was the she. And I didn't even know this person, but I just knew that he was a quick-tempered person, just the way he talked to my friend. And long story short, they got into a very toxic relationship. So if you're not already in it, see, the thing God does with all of us is this, right? He gives you a glimpse of the character of the individual. Like Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Believe them. So our suggestion and our answer is that, avoid getting into a relationship with a quick-tempered person. But if you find yourself already in it, then like Pastor said or PG said, avoid the triggers. Right. Now, it doesn't mean that you walk in a relationship on eggshells all the time.
Right.
Because you can't really be like, oh, I bought groceries. He doesn't like red bags. I'm bringing red bags. No, like that is dangerous. Seek help, right? Because quick-tempered people, I'm telling you, and this is not a generalization, they can harm you and your life can be on the line, right? I have seen and I've dealt with cases where a quick-tempered person literally like lost their temper and literally was like punching this individual, and it was so toxic that of course the authorities needed to be called. So you need to really know that if you find yourself already in it, my first things are number one, don't deny the signs and get help. And if they're not willing to receive help, you be wise enough to protect your life.
Now, question here, I want to really finish it up with it. What if you are the quick-tempered person?
That's a good question.
How do you get help? I want to share something with you.
Yes.
No one was born quick-tempered. They are acquired behavior. They are acquired behaviors. It's just that certain personalities triggers it, right? And so the most important thing is, number one, accepting that this is a problem.
It's a problem.
Number two, not only a problem, it's a sin, right? And so when you understand the root of what it is, and then number two, realize that you need help.
Yeah.
And then number three, realize that the person that you're with, chances are you love them. So if a time is going to come where you are so angry or you are so triggered that you want to hurt them, and then when you come to your senses, you apologize. Because most people that have this quick-tempered thing, by the time they finish the behavior,
They
that's
first
when they feel
apologize.
so bad. And that is why most people end up staying in such
Right.
either toxic relationship or abusive relationship, because the people are, and by the way, one of the signs you will know also with quick-tempered people is that they are very generous most of the time.
Yeah.
And so they will usually use giftings and other ways to cover it up while they are abusing or being toxic in terms of their temper and all of that stuff. So when you see this, it doesn't mean that anyone that is generous is a quick-tempered person. No. You want to pray that God will actually bring you a generous person, or someone that you're with will be generous, because stingy people are someone to run from as well.
Right. And you know what? Just go to like your bookstore and buy books on like how to know signs when someone is angry. Like, just educate yourself so that you are aware, because some people have no clue. So educate yourself. Talk to like professionals. Talk to like your mentors, your coaches. Like, listen, I'm seeing the signs, because sometimes when you're in it, you don't even know.
Don't see it,
right? You don't see it. But then someone else can be like, listen, look out for this. These are the signs, and this what. But go to trusted professional people that are not jealous of your relationship.
You see, most of the time, remember, our platform is from Christian perspective.
Right.
Show the person to your pastors.
Yeah.
Let your friends tell you. And trust your instincts and trust your heart.
You have the Holy Spirit. He will speak all the time. All right?
Next.
What about submission? How do you navigate that?
That's a whole new podcast topic
we
right there.
We will deal with it. Just today we're giving them bits and
quick
pieces.
answers, right? I'm going to go first with the submission, and then you can jump in.
Go ahead.
Submission is not a scary word. You know, it's not a scary word.
Are you sure it's not scary?
No, I don't think it's scary. It's just S-U-B. Like, when you spell it out, it's not really a scary word. It's not. Okay. Sometimes you need to take the word and really decode it, right? So submission, it's not forceful.
Okay.
No one is forcing you to submit.
Submission is not forceful.
It's not forceful. When you honor someone and you respect someone, you approach submission as, because we want our relationship to outlive each other. Like, because I honor my mom and my father, I'm going to submit to them.
Okay.
To their suggestions, to their leadings, to what they give me. And the Bible actually suggests that for me to honor them. So my way of honoring them is submitting to them, right? It doesn't mean that my mom gets up and walks on me or my dad walks on me. Okay. Now, when we bring it to relationship, most people, when they come into relationship, are very independent. Like, they have, have the education, they know who they are, their identity is solidified, right? So now they come into a relationship with someone and they hear the word submit. And to them, it means that, I wake up and they take me back to the 1950s and this is my role. No, submission simply means that we are going to coexist by honoring each other. Wow. Like, that's what it is. Wow. We are going to live in this space by honoring each other. I'm going to respect you. You're going to respect me. I'm going to honor you. You're going to honor me. So when we approach submission in that way, it takes away the lies that tells you, no, he's going to rule over you, and whatever he says, that is right. What if what he tells you to jump over a cliff? You're not going to submit to that. So you're not submitting, right? But what you're going to say is that we are going to live in this relationship with honor and respect. And when you approach it that way, it takes away the caricature of like, oh, I'm less and I'm not important. No, if you were not important, he would not be with you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I really want us to, and we're going to do a whole podcast on it.
I believe submission is something we need to talk about.
It's a big topic, but just a quick answer. It's not a scary word. It's like, listen, we're going to live together in this relationship.
Right.
And I value what you have to say. I honor what you have to say. So I'm going to submit to what you have to say because you want the good for me.
And what I will say before I answer the question is, I will actually not encourage anyone to go on with any relationship if you cannot respect the person.
100%.
I will encourage you because it's going to be a trouble later on.
It will be.
If you cannot respect them now. Number two, ladies, I want to really encourage you with it. If you cannot take leadership from that man, don't marry them.
That's right.
I want to say it that way. Because when we talk about submission, obviously it's not because one is less of a person.
Right.
It's just that in any house there has to be leadership.
Right.
And whenever there are two heads, we call it monster.
It's a monster, y'all.
Or we call it division. We call it, it's two heads.
Mm-hmm.
And so there has to be one leading. However, equal strength, equal wisdom, equal capacity.
Right.
Let me give you an example how we do it in our house.
Mm-hmm.
We never make a decision without coming to agreement. In other words, we don't use our strength to impose on one another.
Right.
We discuss until, I see it this way. Marriage is like a transaction between two salespeople. You have to discuss until you come into mutual agreement.
That's right.
And in our home, that's what we do.
Yeah.
Come to mutual agreement and then go on with it. Now, when we get to a place where we are not able to come to mutual agreement, which never happens, because if we didn't come to mutual agreement today, we will come to it tomorrow.
That's right.
And we'll come up on it the next day.
That's right.
We just have time because I value her wisdom and she values my wisdom.
Oh, yes.
By doing so, you earn their respect and
That's
their
right.
honor.
That's right.
And that is where the problem is. Most people think that their wisdom and their values will not be accepted.
Right.
And that is why they fight back. I can assure you, Pastor Harriet, no lady that married a man will not want to submit. It's just that when the man or the woman will not accept their form of
Right.
wisdom, then they have to put a shield to
Right.
also protect themselves. And that is
Right.
where the problem comes from.
Yeah.
Next question.
My partner doesn't appreciate me. What should I do?
That's good.
Oh, your partner does not appreciate you. What should you do? Oh, that's a big one. Now, see, do you appreciate yourself? Let's start from there. Right?
That's
Do you
a
appreciate
blow.
yourself, right? Yeah, let's start from there. Do you appreciate yourself? Because see, when you appreciate yourself and you value yourself,
Pastor Harriet, hold
your
on. Let
foundation,
me
right?
cut this. I'm like,
Come in.
how do you appreciate yourself?
You appreciate yourself by valuing what Christ did on the cross for your life.
Ooh, okay.
Right? And for us believers, we know that Christ died for us.
Okay.
After he died for us, we had this identity in him.
Wow.
And then the other value is that I've put education in myself. I've
Okay.
invested in myself.
Okay.
I have put myself together in a healthy way.
Okay.
I respect you. I respect our space, right? So with that being said, I appreciate who I am. Right? And my appreciation of myself is not based on what I've been through or what you see of me, but I really appreciate me, right? So the question is, do you appreciate yourself? You cannot expect people to value what you don't value. So if you don't value yourself, they wouldn't even know how much you cost. Right? So it's like, setting some of these high-end stores, right? And I've shopped in a couple of them. Do you know when you purchase things from them, they hand deliver it to your house? They don't put it in a box and say thank you for shopping. They don't just come out of the counter and say thank you. No, they make you go home and they hand deliver it. Why? Because they see the value of how much you spend on their items. Same with yourself. If you value yourself, right, and the other individual does not value you, you have one responsibility. You teach them how to value you.
Absolutely.
And the way you teach a person to value is that you draw boundaries. And each time the boundaries are being challenged or you're uncomfortable with the boundaries, that means they're not even respecting the boundaries. If they're not respecting the boundaries, they certainly are not going to respect you. And I'm not talking about your boundaries being unrealistic. Your boundaries are to the point where it's the standard of how the individual can interpret it as.
Right.
Right? So, for instance, I'm in a relationship or I'm in a marriage and I value myself and you don't value me. And you're like, all right, let's go to dinner. No, we're not going to go to dinner because you're going to yell at me when we get to the table. So you eat by yourself. Unless you can assure me that when we go to dinner, you will open the door for me and you will treat me with respect when we eat. So once you taste the point of eating by yourself and you miss me, you're going to come back and value me and say, you know what, babes, I want to go out to dinner with you. I'm going to check my attitude. That's just one of the simple ways, right? So I really think that number one, appreciate yourself. Because see, when you appreciate yourself and you value yourself, it's easy to see when others don't value you.
Okay.
So you must be aware of it first. And then now you must now teach them how to it's like, there's certain cultures, right? They have like really long names, and people will be like, I cannot pronounce your name. I'm like, you know the alphabet, and you can pronounce names. It's just because you are choosing not to learn how to pronounce the name. It's a choice. So I'm going to train you how to value me. And if you constantly, continuously does not do that, then I need to make a decision.
Okay.
Right?
I think my husband or my wife does not, or the one in relationship does not appreciate me. When we come to relationship, it is a great journey, and it's for a long time, especially from the Christian context. And people come in the relationship with various value systems, habits, behaviors, lifestyles. There are some that come in based on how they were treated, how they were raised, super confident in themselves, doesn't have time to wait on certain things. And so the first thing is, just to buttress on it, is appreciating yourself, knowing who you are. And that is the first lesson, knowing who you are. And when you know who you are, then when the other person doesn't know who you are, you can teach them. My lesson is, it must be done with wisdom. It must be done with wisdom. It must be done with wisdom. How do you do that with wisdom? Proper way of communication. Proper way of letting them know what you appreciate and what you don't appreciate. When it is done, and I want to give this to any man or any woman who wants to create an intimacy and appreciation in their relationship. Let your conversation come from a place of suggestion. Most of the time, people bring forceful, this is how I want it, and this is how it must be done. And for that reason, they do not value the input of the other. When the two begins to come up with things from a suggestive state of mind or point, it changes everything, because nobody will put a quote on. Suggestions means you want my input. You want what I have. And start from small things. Teach them from small things. Let them appreciate small things. And number two, if he is a man that doesn't appreciate the woman, I want to give you this wisdom. Remember, this is answers from the answers, right?
That's right.
Appreciate the small things they are doing. You think they don't appreciate what you do. Start from appreciating the small things they do.
Like them being present.
Small things. You think they don't do anything, and for that reason, it's a sign that they don't appreciate. Appreciate the little things they do in house. And from that point, it will start growing. It will start growing. So that is the answer I'll give for now.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Answer with the answers. I think that's it for the segment. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you have as well. One of the things we do is that just bring you biblical principles and experiential stuff that we've gone through, and to be relevant to you and to really help you on your journey as you become a better person in your walk with God, in life, in marriage, in relationship, and then also give you answers before you jump into relationships, because having information is good, but information that is rightly applied is wisdom. So don't just collect the information. Go and now begin to say, okay, how can I apply this to my life so that it can help me? Yeah.
Now, I want you to know that we always want you to let us know what you are thinking.
Yes.
I believe you have questions and you have suggestions and comments, and we want to know. And we want you to know that we want to hear from you, and your input also means a lot. So, and questions that you want us to even deal with, and topic you want us to discuss, let us know. The information will be placed on the screens, and we will let you know. And I'm excited that you join us today. Answers with the answers. Until the next
time, we will see you and be blessed.
God bless you.